is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com, the place you go when you want action-packed content related to helping you grow your app downloads and, more importantly, your revenue. And in part 3 of our YouTube series about how to create an app startup and take your idea to ultimate success, we're going to talk about how do you hire the right developers. So part 1, we talked about what you have to do before building it. Part 2, we talked about how to build those MVP features. And this one, how do you actually get it built, the app built? Today, got phenomenal guests. With me throughout the entire YouTube series is Haim from B7Dev. Go check him out. It is the letter B, the number 7dev.com if you're looking for an app development shop to help you build this idea. Haim, welcome back.
Hi, Steve. How are you? Thank you for having me.
All right, Haim. So let's talk about the first topic that we want to uncover. And it's about whether you should hire a freelancer that you might find on Upwork or something, or hire a development shop like yourself. What are the key differences that you have to really look out for?
Okay, first of all, a caveat for all the viewers, all the people watching this. I manage a development software agency, okay, that is called B7Dev. So take my advice with, with a grain of salt. Maybe I'm trying to bring customers to my own shop. But the idea of this video is just recommending and giving some tips on how to hire actually a good developer or team, okay? In any case, you will need a team, okay? There is no an app that you can do it just by one guy. You need a designer, you need a developer. Maybe if you have some server-side work, you need three people here involved, okay? So first of all, freelancing or freelancers versus an agency, an established agency or company, etc., like mine. The first factor is price. For some freelancers, developers, maybe the price is lower. Companies generally have overhead of management, okay? So you are paying this, you are paying management. In my case, in my company, I manage all the processes. I talk with the customer all the time. My customers know that even too much, okay? Because the main word in this game is communication. You can have the best developer in town, the best developer in the world, but if you don't communicate well with him to know where you are stand at the process, where we at, okay? Is the guy responsive? Are we more or less about the same time zone, more or less 4, 5, 6 hours? No, 12 hours. So you can not communicate well. So this technical advantage will be hardly impeded by this lack of communication. So in my personal opinion, when I hire myself developers for my company, I look at 3 main factors. One is technical proficiency, okay? Without technical proficiency, I mean, it's not just if they know what they do, it's the way that they handle problems. Are they problem solvers? Okay. The second one is the attitude. Okay, the attitude. Communication. Do they communicate? Do they back to you fast when you want to ask what is the status? Do they send daily reports, weekly reports? Can you maintain a meeting? Do you understand each other? Okay, what are my concerns as a customer? Did they understood the whole blueprint, the whole spec we were talking about in the last episode? Did they understood when I send feedback about the version? They understand the bugs. They understand what is. I mean, if a developer will tell you, I don't understand what you mean. This bug is not a bug; it's a feature. The classical joke is a problem. Okay, you have a problem. So you need someone that will assure the quality of work, that will be very communicative. Okay, and the third one is the responsibility. Okay, are they responsible for what they do, the work that they do, how much guarantee they offer for the future, okay? So, for example, in my company, out of third parties problems, issues, I don't know, Apple upgrades the operative systems, so you need to adapt the code to the new operative system. Google changes one SDK, Firebase changes something, so I need to charge for that. They need to tell you, okay, we need to charge for that, for doing those updates. But if my developers, did some mistake, some bug, I won't charge you for this, no matter how much time it was from the launch of the product, okay? This is the way that we manage that. Some companies will offer you 3 months of warranty. After that, I don't recommend this. After this, you will be, because if you don't detect the problems before the 3 months, before the 6 months, okay, most of the companies, they offer 6 months, 1 year of warranty, okay? But again, I make it very clear. If a third party is changing and make your product crash or your product fail, okay, I will charge for that because it's not my responsibility what Google does, what Facebook does, and vice versa. But if we did some bug, some mistake, some programming error, we are responsible for that. Again, ask for this beforehand. How is the warranty? How is the responsibility over the work, etc. Now, by recommendations, you get that this developer, this guy, this lady, that is highly recommended by others, okay, and the price is right, I don't see any problems that working with a company. What is the main problem that I see here? Okay, you need someone to coordinate between the whole factors, the designer, because the design is the original one at the beginning, and then you wanted to change something, so you need to change this button, this text, this color, this area you need to enhance, to reduce. Okay, we found that this screen is not necessary, so we will remove it. Okay, so you will need more updates or more changes from your designer. Yourself will have to coordinate this with the developer, from the designer to you, from you to the developer. If there is a server side and this freelancer doesn't have the guide for server side to provide to you, or this you want to do Google, Android, and then you want to do iOS for Apple, then maybe you need to coordinate between 2-3 guys, so that will be a problem. An agency, in the other hand, will solve all this, okay? So maybe the idea is, if you are doing something very simple, maybe you can get a freelancer. If you are doing something more complex, okay, with more people involved, maybe the agency is the way to go. Again, check for the price. The price should be right. If it's too cheap, it's suspicious. If it's too high, maybe you can get some better deal, okay? Check for time to response, okay? Time to response is very, very a factor that I will take for indicating me that something is not good, okay? Even if there is a delay with the project, because there is always delays here and there, because, you know, some developer gets ill, etc., or something that could happen, but at least get a fast answer from the responsible, okay? This is very important. At least you know he is ill, you won't be waiting or insisting all the time, okay? So those are the main factors to wait before you hire a freelancer versus an agency, okay? The point about, yeah, sure, go on.
No, I like that. And I think what I want to iterate too, I like the point you made. If it's a simple idea, maybe the freelancer is enough. But if it's going to be a complex idea, you definitely want an agency who understands and who has a team of developers that can work together and really build out the app. And the other thing I want to highlight too is, look, with the freelancer, some of the pros is maybe it's going to be cheaper than an agency. But some of the cons is going to be, if this guy gets sick, right? Or if something happens to this guy, your project is completely stalled. Whereas if you have an agency, Heim has a team of developers that can pick up the work too. So that's the last thing I wanted to point out on this topic.
Yeah, for example, I want to tell you something that happens the last week with Bianca, that is a friend of the show also, that we have a problem. We get this project already made from another company, and then we got that the server has an issue that the current developer that I put to fix that was not able to fix. I got another guy from the whole team that works with me to fix it, and the other guy got to fix it, okay? So this is a great advantage for a company, that you will always have a replacement for someone that cannot solve something, okay? or fix something, or just, I don't know, he's sick, or, with this pandemic issue, we have also this problem with some developers that got sick, so they need to rest, etc. Again, there is not a specific rule for everything, but the factors that I will check is price, communication, responsibility after delivery. Okay, those are the three main factors that I will wait before hiring someone. Okay, you can ask for references also. You can ask this freelancer or this company, can you direct me to other customers? I want to ask them how was the relationship, the quality of work, etc., etc. It's very legit to ask for this also. Okay, that's it.
Haim, the other thing that I want to move on to as well, and this is a question I get a lot from the marketing side, is, hey, have you marketed an app that does X, Y, and Z? How would you think about that? Is it critical that you, as a development shop and development agency, has built an app similar to the ones they're looking at? And for me, I always answer like, it's all the same, right? The marketing is all the same, but from a development standpoint, does that even matter?
There are specific areas that you can say that this is an advantage to if you did something like this before. Image processing, machine learning, I don't know, graphics processing, big data, etc., etc. I mean, technology is very wide, okay, as the ideas that our customers bring to us. So it is an advantage, but again, I will wait. For a developer to learn a new technology is kind of not so hard for him to understand this.
Right.
But for a developer to understand responsibility and responsiveness is harder than understanding a new technology. Okay, so again, if you hear what I'm saying all the time, responsiveness and responsibility from the developer is very important for me and for my customers too. Okay, so that's the main idea. We get all the time requests for new customers that they got burned with a company that maybe is too cheap or even maybe too expensive, because that happens too. But again, where are the documentation for the project you did? You own the code. I mean, we will talk about this later, but you own the code, you have access to the code. Did they retain the code? Do you have all the accesses to all the service, all the accounts you integrate with? Okay, do you have everything, or you are depending on them on everything? Okay, so having the experience, as always, is great. For certain areas is great. You won't hire someone that needs to do something about machine learning, that the guy doesn't know anything, doesn't have a clue about machine learning. But also, I mean, for those specific cases, it is very important. But in general terms, the human quality of the developer added up to the technical skills is more important to me.
Hey, Haim, you brought it up too, and this is a topic that I did want to cover, is how do you get that code? And, one of the questions that I've gotten from people is like, how do I make sure that the developers don't resell the code to somebody else, whether if it's a simple app, for example, and you want to resell it. But how do you guys like to deliver the code base to your customers?
Okay, so the way that we work, there are a lot of customers, as I told you, that they came with a lot of fears because the previous team didn't deliver the code, was very problematic. Okay, so we need to do some kind of arrangement. Okay, usually what we do is we open a repository. A repository is a software that manages the code. Okay, generally GitHub, GitLab, and others. Okay, Git is one of the most used because it's free for basics, and then if you have a lot of projects, you need to pay. Okay, but what we do is we add them to the Git repository so they have access, and then because you can negotiate this. In the other hand, if the project or if a new customer, we ask for an upfront, okay, in order to be sure that the customer will just run with the code. The opposite case, okay. So this is everything is something that you need to bring to the table when you create this arrangement with the developer. A lot of developers will tell you the code is mine. I will deliver it when you pay everything, or even I won't deliver it to you, because if I work for you, the code, I mean, I won't deliver the code. Okay, this is a big problem, because the software will be developed for you. It's a product that you should be the owner of the software. Of course, that in the other hand, you need to pay everything as agreed to the agency, to the freelancer. Okay, but again, you need to get a good agency, a good freelancer that you know that doesn't have this kind of issues. Okay, because the developer doesn't need your code. Your code is yours. We not resell code, okay? We develop the code from zero, from scratch to you. We won't reuse the code on everything or anything else, any other project. It's not something that even we don't, just for you to know, just for security measures, we don't store access to your accounts, okay? When we use your accounts, we forget about this. For sure, the next time you ask us, okay, we need to fix this with Firebase. Okay, can you please send me the login for Firebase? Because we don't keep that, okay? We keep it as far as we work with this, but then we forget about that. It's not our business, it's your business, okay? If we keep working with you, the ongoing process of updating, upgrading the app, new versions, etc., we keep it because we need to work with it. After we deliver the code, we don't keep any detail, okay? This is yours, all the accounts. About fears for the developers to steal my idea or steal or resell the code, okay? This is a common concern. Again, as I always say, my work is to develop my customers' ideas. It's not developed for myself, okay? We don't develop for ourselves, we develop for other parties, for customers, again. So, I mean, if I want to develop something by myself, I will do it by myself. I mean, my ideas. Anyways, a lot of people ask for signing NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. We have templates of this for anyone that wants it. I usually sign NDAs for anyone that is asking for it. Okay, for me, it's okay. But again, you need to trust each other, because this is a working relationship, like you have a working relationship with any other people in business, in any business in general. About reselling the code, this is a big no, okay? No company at any means can resell your code or even reuse your code in other projects, okay? You need to state this very clear, even if in an email when you start the relationship, okay? The code belongs to the customer. You cannot reuse, you cannot resell, it's not yours, it's your customer. Your customer is paying you your time for develop for him, so the code belongs to him, okay? This is very clear. Send an email, please. Can you agree with me before we start with this? The code belongs to the customer. Of course, after full payment to the agency or the developer, it cannot be resolved or reused in any way. That's it. Anyways, working ethics agency should say you cannot resell, you cannot reuse any part of your customer code, because that belongs to them and they pay for it.
Yeah. And I think one of the best practices is, obviously you need to get paid as an agency. So once the final payment gets done, then to get that code base, because I know you and I have worked together, and the person that I brought over had a different developer, and it was a pain just getting the code from them, because it's a simple feature that we wanted to work on. And I was like, hey, work with Hyman and his team, and just getting that code base, you should just have that readily available. So after you make that final payment, make sure you get that code base. All right, Hyman, let's end with this. Should I develop for both platforms on launch, or should I just focus on iOS or Google Play? What are your thoughts on that?
Most of the customers, they think you are the expert, in fact, about what is more convenient to do, to start, where the money is at the beginning, iPhone, iOS, or Apple, Android from Google. Okay, generally, most of the requirements for, in my case, in my agency, is to develop for iPhone first, and then if works, they will develop for Android. But we get also requests for developing Android first, because maybe the application is more fit for Android, okay? Again, this is something that you need to do at the beginning of the process, the research. Generally, in my experience, iPhone first, then if it works, Android, okay? Maybe you can polish the whole user experience and the monetization on iPhone and then develop for Android. There are more developers for Android if you want to do a proof of concept or an MVP, so maybe it's cheaper for Android first. But again, depending on the market you are intending to launch, okay?
Hey, Jaime, do you have any thoughts on, I'm not a developer, so I'm gonna Flutter versus React Native, these cross-platform type of engines, I guess is for lack of a better word, versus building native? What are your thoughts on that?
We always go with native first. If a customer asks for this kind of hybrid technology, okay, or JavaScript technology, we can do it. We have developers for this. We are about to start a project on React. What I think about that, depending on the app, again, they are for certain apps, certain kind of apps, they are kind of limited, okay? But with this point, I want to make it clear. Every day they are improving their technologies, okay? In the beginning was like a problem, big problem. You want to do something very simple and cheap, go with the React with Angular. Today, they are very powerful, okay? Yet, we get all the requests to do by native, and the native will have a better performance, a more solid stability performance about resources, etc. But those hybrid technologies, they are improving by the day, and they are very solid today, okay? We have really nice applications done by this. What is the idea? You develop once and then deploy for both Android, iOS, maybe there was third technology, I don't know, Windows Mobile back then, basically for both of them. You need to take it with a grain of salt, okay? How it works for this idea, simple things, medium size work great. For something that needs to take resources from the phone, I mean, processor, etc. Personally, I prefer to go native, okay? But I know really experienced guys that they do excellent things with native, with the hybrid technologies, with React, with Angular, with the Ionic, etc. It's not for everyone, as everything on this business is relative to the guy that will develop, to the idea, etc., etc.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I prefer to go native if I can, but if it's simple enough, maybe you can get away with doing some of these hybrid technologies. Guys, anything I missed, Jaime, that you want to make sure we cover?
No, so far, so good.
Awesome. Well, in part 4, we're going to cover all the things that you need to avoid when it comes to finally launching your app. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you missed part 2, make sure you check it out, because we talked about how do you create a specification doc to make sure you get the most accurate quotes from when you're shopping around, whether you're trying to hire a freelancer or an agency like Haime's. And if you want to work with Jaime and his team, which I highly suggest you do, because I've sent over plenty of clients over there and we've been working since 2013, go check out b7dev.com, b7dev.com. It is linked up in all the description. It's on your favorite podcast app, YouTube channel, everything else. Jaime, if the audience wants to connect with you in any other way, do you want to send them anywhere else?
Sure. My email is Jaime at b7dev.com, CHAIM at B, the letter B like banana, number 7, dev like development.com. You can find my name. Also, you can see it here on the episode title. You can look it for after that at Facebook. You can contact me. You can contact me by LinkedIn. You can go to b7dev.com and then you have a form to contact us. Okay, so several ways to contact me.
Awesome. Well, go check them out, guys, and I will see you in part 4. So you got to avoid these critical mistakes.